What's going on, YouTube? This is Wayne with Wayne's Fish World, and today I want to talk about what type of filtration does your fish store use, your local fish store. What type of filtration does your local fish store use in their own aquariums? First of all, before we dive into that, I want to show you something I just did with the 55-gallon tank. 55-gallon tank still doing good. It's just kind of irked me because I'll show you why. Anyways, look. What I just did is I got some of that Instant Ocean fast hold, and I literally just put it down there. After a few 30 minutes or an hour, you can sand it down or whatever, to blend it in with the live rock to make it look more natural. For the time being, I just I put a little piece of live rock and wedged it in there, and what I'm doing is I'm holding that Gorgonian up because the Gorgonians love high flow, but if they're not really attached to a big rock, they're just going to keep falling over. And it's been doing that ever since I've had it, and I've been tired of it, and the local fish store finally had some fast holds, so I went ahead and I got that, and you can see the polyps are already starting to open up here. See, what happens is this Gorgonian is doing really good. It just falls over, picks back up, falls over, picks back up, and it keeps getting stressed out, and the polyps never stay open. Also with Gorgonians, I figured out by turning your protein skimmer on, they sense that dirty water, all that organics, and they will automatically make them to open up. Like with frozen food and stuff, that'll make them open up because the polyps are trying to capture that food. Some other things happen to the 55-gallon tank. This toadstool is doing really good. The green star polyps are doing good. It's just they're closed up right now. What really peed me off was this kidney tree, which is right here. I've got to reattach it. Fell off the rock, and I'm not sure if it fell off the rock or did something get it, because I saw a hermit crab munching on my torch coral, and the torch coral actually is right there, and a hermit crab was actually munching on it. And all my hermit crabs in this tank are reef safe, and it fell off. I don't know if it's going to make it. I hope it does. But the mushroom corals are coming off too, but that's normal. Mushroom corals would go anywhere. And it's unpredictable with mushroom corals, but all the corals are doing good besides the ones that are falling off the rocks. That really sucks. All the fish are doing good. My attention is kind of turned away from the 55 right now. I really want to focus on the 125. And let's look at this right now. Let me grab a chair. I'll pop a squat for you guys. All right, it's still a little dirty. I'm going to clean the filter in a second. This will be the second cleaning of the filter in 2 weeks, a week and a half. Some of the glass still has algae and all that stuff. But what I want to talk about is I want to talk about what type of filtration does your local fish store use. Guys, I am big on individual tanks. And what that means is you have individual tanks. They're not all plumbed together. That way, if something goes bad in one tank, the disease, the parasite, or whatever it is, isn't going to be spread to every other tank. Now, I believe in separating every single freshwater tank, and I believe in connecting every single saltwater tank. And the reason for that is because actually in freshwater, you're going to see more diseases, believe it or not. And I know that from experience. The local fish store, Tom's been doing it for years, and he's always told me you wouldn't believe it, but you actually have more problems with freshwater parasites and diseases than you do in saltwater. So I strongly believe in having every single tank in freshwater an individual tank. Each tank has its own filtration. And in saltwater, this is what I believe in. I believe you have to make saltwater they're so vast. Seahorses really need their own setup. Jellyfish need their own setup. Pipefish, foulfish. Those types of fish need their individual setups. And certain fish can't go with certain fish. So what I believe is in saltwater, for the best thing for the majority, is to have those Mars systems or those marine land systems. Hook up a 36 watt or a 55 watt UV light underneath there, and this is what my local fish store did. He had a 36 watt, and all the water passes through that. If there's ick or something going through the water, hits that UV light and zap. Now I know it's not going to kill all of it, but it's going to take a majority of it out. And I've seen fish time after time, mesotangs and other fish come in there and they get ick, and that's from stress from shipping. And they had ick for a couple days. I come back next week and the fish is looking absolutely fine because two things. It fought it off and that UV sterilizer helped. A UV sterilizer isn't a cure for ick, but you cannot deny it's a big help. But what I believe in saltwater, because it saves electricity, if you have the money for it, each saltwater tank should be individual too. But I believe in one center pump, always have a backup, a huge UV light, and good filtration. But for freshwater, I believe every tank should be plumbed individually, or not even plumbed, either, you know, the type of filtration. That's what I want to dive into. I believe, this is my personal opinion, guys. This is my personal opinion. Air filtration is kicking ass. Some people will argue an Undergravel filter is horrible and it's out of date. Okay, just because that 1979 F250 is out of date doesn't mean it can't do work. Or for you Chevy people, that, you know, that 1960 Duramax, I don't know if they made Duramax back then, but you get what I'm saying. That old Duramax, just because it's old doesn't mean it can't do work. So what I'm trying to say is, Undergravel filter, I think they're the best thing, because that is direct biological filtration. You use your gravel or your substrate, and you make it a perfect biological filter and a mechanical filter. Okay, think about this. You got to get in there and do your water changes, right? Now, most pet stores I know, they don't do water changes. I know a lot of people are like, Wayne, what are you talking about? Yes, they do. They have to. Well, no, they don't. If they can supply fish to the customers on a rapid base, meaning they're selling fish faster than they can get them in, all that water from the bags is getting taken out. So when they go to top off their water, by selling fish, they did their water change. So, God, I had a brain fart. Anyways, what I'm trying to say, guys, I believe Undergravel filters are where it's at, and a lot of people would disagree with me, because you utilize a piston air pump, a linear air pump, and you can serve so many tanks with that with such little electricity compared to having hang on the back filters, canister filters. Canister filters are going to eat your price, eat your bill up. If you can get to that stage, that's good, but I think it's ridiculous. A canister filter for every tank is just, I think it's overhyped and overrated. Now, don't get me wrong, canister filters are where it's at, but I don't think you need them. Running a local fish store tank for selling purposes is completely different than you know, the life cycle of your own personal aquarium. It's very different. Had a little brain fart, so I had to do some editing. But setting up your own personal aquarium is completely different than setting up a fish tank that's meant for selling purposes. The life cycle of the tank is completely different. And you're saying, Wayne, it can't be that much different. Well, it is. It really is. The pet stores have so much more bioload. They get them out, they get them in. The bioload goes up and down. It fluctuates with the nitrogen cycle a lot. It's never ending. And you're going to say, oh, well, pet stores usually just keep their tanks fully stocked. No, that's a stupid thing to do. What you do is you sell through your stock completely, and then once you sell through all your stock, you get an order on Friday, Wednesday, whatever you place your order. Like, say you place your order on Wednesday, and then it comes in Friday. You go through your pet store and you check inventory on everything you need. That way your freight is cut down, because the less you order, the higher your prices have to be, because the more you order at once, the lower your prices, because the price of shipping is spread out through the whole order. So what I'm saying is, let's say if you made a shipment for 20 neon tetras and your shipping was $50. Well, how much are you going to have to make each neon tetra to accommodate for that shipping and still make a profit off that? See what I'm saying? But running a fish tank at home in a local fish store is completely different, and I think Undergravel filters where it's at. Hang on the back filters are energy efficient, and I think they're really good. They do consume a lot of energy, though. The ones I really like, you're going to laugh, but some people will agree with me. Aqueon hang on the back filters. They're unstoppable. They rarely ever go out. I believe they come with lifetime warranty. I think the 10-gallon models use 3 watts for the little propeller. It's a submersible pump, so the power ever goes out, you don't have to prime anything. It just starts right back up. Those things can be clogged for weeks without end, because trust me, I know, with duckweed and plants, and the filter will still run. I just believe they're very strong filter for what you pay. It's not a Fluval, it's not an Eheim, but for what you pay, I don't think you can get anything better. You could say Marine Land's up with them. Marine Lands, when it comes to water flow, they are right there with them. But when it comes to clogging and still being able to run, Aqueon beats them. If the Marine Land clogs, it'll slow down. If the Aqueon clogs, it'll still go. And with priming, marine lands, you got to prime them. Aqueon, you ain't got to do nothing. Once power comes back on, or you're done with your maintenance, plug it back up, it'll automatically start right back up. So that's what I got to say about the Aqueons. They're really good, energy efficient. But let's say if you got to run, 80 tanks. Would you want to have 83 watt or 6 watts, or how big your tank is? Like say if you got a 20 gallon, you probably need a 6 watt hang on the back filter. So it's gonna add up. And of course you need bigger tanks like 55s and 40 breeders for your bigger fish like your Oscars and stuff to house them in. Then you're gonna need the occasional arowana tanker, something big. So is it better to run a whole bunch of hang on the back filters, or is it more energy efficient and better for the tank to run old school undergravel filters and sponge filters? What I really like about the undergravel filters is because they push everything down into the substrate. So you've got to get in there manually with your siphon vac and clean the substrate out. And it uses your gravel, which is, I believe, I'm kind of old school with it, but it uses your gravel to the full extent of your beneficial bacteria. It just it gets direct contact with all that oxygen, and I think that's what's really key. Tell me what you guys think, because this is actually what I'm going to base my store on. Yeah, it's coming, guys. I'm still doing a lot of planning, a lot of research and stuff. I mean, I have an online store, but I'm officially going to have an online store. I wasn't going to release this until a later video, and I'm going to talk about it a little later. But WaynesFishWorld.com is in the making, guys. I'm doing a lot of planning, researching on what the rack systems are going to consist of, how they're going to be, what's going to save the most space. If I want 10 gallons here, how many 20 gallons do I need? How many 55s to have the same space? I'm researching all the laws and regulations and stuff, and how to actually go about and do this. It's a lot of research, and I'm actually doing a lot of research, just like fish keeping, before I dive into it too much, because I don't want to go, like say you know nothing about fish, and then you say a disc gets at the local fish store, and you throw it in a goldfish bowl, and you're like, oh crap, what did I do? Same concept. I have to do all this research, and it's kind of small scale, and I'm growing a lot of plants, so by next week sometime, I should have a lot of plants for sale, and a lot of those plants are actually going to go back into the 125, because I've got a pond, not my koi pond, but I've got a little pond outside that I don't show YouTube, and it's growing plants right now, and that's what I'm pretty much selling my plants off right now, the stuff outside. It's getting shaded sunlight, indirect sunlight, and it's growing really good. Guys, comment, rate, subscribe. Tell me what you believe is the best energy efficient and efficient mechanical and biological filtration. I'm not too much into chemical filtration because you guys know I like plants. All freshwater tanks will have plants in them by all means. But tell me what you guys think. That way I can build my own experience on that. Guys, I'll see you next time. Comment, rate, subscribe. Later.